Morning, it's my pleasure to be here this morning. First, I want to thank Pan American Life Insurance for sponsoring me this morning. Of course, I love that name, Pan American, so couldn't have been better. Normally, when I walk up to the podium, it is to speak about fraud and counterfeiting, embezzlement and cybercrime, identity theft, and things of that nature, and I will be doing that later on this afternoon. But I've been asked to come up this morning and talk a little bit about my life. As many of you know, I had a great writer write a book about my life, a great film director make a movie about my life, a great Broadway musical team make a Tony Award-winning Broadway musical about my life, and a popular television show on TV for 4 years, White Collar, created around my life. Most of those very creative people have actually never met me personally, but I've always felt that they'd enjoy telling my story from their point of view. So I thought I would just tell you the story, actually, from my point of view. I was raised just north of New York City in Westchester County, New York, in a little town called Bronxville. I was actually one of 4 children in the family, educated there by the Christian Brothers of Ireland at a private Catholic school called Iona in New Rochelle, New York, where I went to school from kindergarten to high school. By the time I had reached the age of 16 in the 10th grade, my parents, after 22 years of marriage one day, decided to get a divorce. Unlike most divorces where the children are usually the first to know, my parents were very good about keeping that a secret. I remember being in the 10th grade when the father walked in the classroom and asked the brother to excuse me from class. When I came out in the hallway, the father handed me my books and told me that one of the brothers would drive me to the county seat in White Plains, New York, where I would meet my parents and they would explain what was going on. My parents, of course, the brother took me to the county seat and dropped me at the building, a stone building, told me to go on up the steps and my parents would be waiting for me in the lobby. I remember climbing the steps, seeing a sign on the building that said family court, but I really didn't understand what that meant. When I walked in the lobby, my parents were not there, but I was ushered into the back of an immense courtroom where my parents were standing before a judge. I couldn't hear what the judge was saying, nor my parents' response, but eventually the judge saw me at the back of the room and motioned me to approach the bench. I walked a step to stand in between my parents. I remember distinctly the judge never looked at me, never acknowledged I was standing there. He just read from his papers and said that my parents were getting a divorce. And because I was 16 years of age, I would need to tell the court which parent I wanted to live with. I started to cry, so I ran out of the courtroom. My parents, the judge called for a 10-minute recess, but by the time I got outside, I was gone. My mother never saw me again for about 7 years until I was a young adult. Contrary to the movie, my father never saw me or ever spoke to me again.